TikTok. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it today, September 16th, 2025. I want to talk about TikTok because for months now, let's go back and review Warrior. The company, problematic, China owned. Kids are on it, one of the top platforms for kids and young people, all people actually, TikTok. And all kinds of, I don't want to even bore you with the details, but Congress had hearings. Congress thought China's stealing our privacy, all kinds of things going on. I've always maintained, to be honest with you, you can't just pick on TikTok. We've got all these other platforms as well. You should be looking at all of the platforms. Okay, that being said, it was just announced that TikTok, a deal has been made, but no details were really given out other than, and this was my greatest fear, other than this sort of conglomerate of companies are going to be running TikTok. Now, again, there's no clear plan here. We weren't really told exactly what's happening here. The good news is, for now, I guess, it's not being shut down. That is the one platform I am not on because from the get-go, it was China owned and just in the back of my head, but that's me. I know a lot of people don't care about that. But the press that came out today saying sort of a group of big tech people will be running TikTok, again, with not much information here, did mention Oracle. Oracle is a company owned by Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison has been all over lately. I feel like he's just in my face all the time. He recently bought CBS, which is also Paramount. So he's got his hand now in CBS News, which I believe his son is going to be running. So they tell us. Paramount, their movie division. Now his hand in TikTok. Does anybody else find this problematic? Because I do. I want to reference this article. Oracle, TikTok will continue to have their operations in the United States because a framework deal between the United States and China is finalized. But nobody, I'm looking at all this, nobody can confirm all of these reports. The precise structure of the deal was not clear, adding that the deal will include multiple companies. And you know what? Oh, the White House, Oracle, TikTok, and the Chinese embassy in Washington did not respond to Reuters' request for comments. I'm reading a Reuters article right now, finance article, for comments at all. Now, U.S. and Chinese officials said earlier on Monday, that was yesterday, have reached a framework agreement to switch TikTok to U.S.-controlled ownership. That will be confirmed Friday in a phone call between Donald Trump and his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping. Okay, but here's what I want to tell you. History. Because at the inauguration in January, I saw our president was surrounded. Remember they moved it indoors and, they moved it indoors. I stopped to think about something for a minute. Sorry about that. But then when I saw it, when I watched it on television, he was surrounded. He had, the Sam Altmans and he had the Jeff Bezos. He was surrounded by Mark Zuckerberg, all those people at the inauguration. Now, fast forward, we recently had an AI, kind of a roundtable, a meeting spearheaded by the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, at the White House. That was less than 2 weeks ago. Talking about AI, we're going to be a global leader, how great this is going to be. Okay, that night, and this is the part that sticks in my head, there was a dinner at the White House with the President and First Lady. Sitting next to Melania Trump was sitting next to Bill Gates. We had the kibitzing with Mark Zuckerberg. But I'm here to say, so that's my biggest fear. Is this group, we mentioned Oracle, is it all of them coming together to own TikTok, to suck it in and be part of all of this predation? Now, I say this, again, I'm going back to history. All of these big tech platforms have shown us their true colors. They don't care about child safety. They don't care about drug selling. They don't care about predation, sex buying, labor trafficking, scams. This is the truth. This is the reality. And I'm going down to Washington this week, and I'll be saying these same exact things. This is not exactly anything, I'm keeping secretive. So I want to say this is probably it. We'll see on Friday if that is indeed how it plays out. But again, because the history of big tech being at the right hand of the president and our first lady. I'm not feeling very confident about that, okay? Because right now, they are ruling the roost. They are controlling everything. Now, this being said, we know there's some fabulous AI. And this is the part, I want to use AI. Talk about it, leverage it for good. Tremendous AI that could root out predators, could go after those servers, could shut things down. I haven't seen much of that, though. And when I talk to law enforcement, it's always pretty much we don't have the resources, financing to get this technology, to get this AI. Shocking, shameful. In the United States of America, while I'm sitting here talking to you the last couple of minutes, 4 or 5 children have been sex trafficked. That's just the stats. That's just the reality. So why aren't we providing the resources to get in there and intervene and prevent? Here's where it starts, everybody. Don't despair. There's a lot of hope. You've got the warriors, number 1. Number 2, you're listening. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because when I see 80% of you who watch the videos don't subscribe, I'm like, why don't they hit the button? It's free. Do us a favor so we can just keep having algorithms, good algorithms, to get you information. But I want to talk about, we have to keep getting information out there. When I say raise awareness, it sounds so simplistic. It's the absolute truth. We have to keep an eye on everything. So I'm telling you all of this because things are heading all to this mountaintop, in my opinion. It's, our administration with big tech. That's how it sits right now. Now, Senator Josh Hawley does have a piece of legislation because we have something holding up everything with big tech. It's called Section 230. I talk about it a lot. And it was born in 1996 with the internet. And it basically said, this piece of legislation, the bill, we had 2 platforms in those days. It is, these platforms can't be held responsible for third-party content. I agree with that. I'm not a lawyer. And they're going to be a billboard. They're going to be a newsstand. Okay, that is almost 30 years ago. We have never changed Section 230. It has allowed all of these big companies to expand and take advantage of that. Take advantage of all of the predation, all of the horror we see online, because they're hiding behind Section 230. So we hope to sunset that, get rid of that. We haven't had amends in almost 30 years. Unbelievable. These are issues we fight for on the Warriors, and we bring you so you know what's going on, because so many people say to me, parents especially, why is this allowed? Because of this piece of legislation. And also resources. We give so much money, don't get me started, to other countries. Why aren't we protecting our most vulnerable here in the United States? So we have that going on. And it has to start with, I mean this with all my heart, you must talk to your children. First, you have to know what's going on. Second, you have to talk to your kids, because it's not your fault. It's not their fault. We've all been just dealt this hand. It's been thrown at us. All of this internet, all of this big tech. And now we're sitting in AI, the most frightening thing. Talk to your kids. It's been a very, and I'm not going to explain it because I think you know, very rough week. Kids are traumatized. People are traumatized over the events of the last week, including 9/11 right here in my beloved New York City. Charlie Kirk, Irina being stabbed on the train, because it's all on the internet now for everybody to see over and over and over again. And that's the part I don't get. Because take that down. But then when you take that down, the big tech people, and they have lobbyists and lots of money. Freedom of speech. Who decides what's traumatizing material? Right? So how are we going to get around this? I can't figure out the way to get around this, especially as we're working on AI with our colleagues across the country, our coalitions. And just yesterday at our meeting, I found out they are prepared, big tech companies, to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to fight us about any kind of regulations or any kind of, it's not even that I like the word regulation or monitoring. None of that. It's about our kids. How are we going to deal with our kids? Because big tech, proven by history, they want the kids, the future adults. They can addict them from being a kid through adulthood. It's about eyeballs. It's about advertisers. It's about this. You know what that means, money. Talk to your kids. Even if you think they don't want to talk, the older kids, college age even, talk to them because they do want to talk. We have a youth mental health crisis. We are not talking about that enough. The last week alone, I'm seeing adults having this mental health crisis about Charlie Kirk, about 9/11, about Arena, all in a short span. It's horrific. But if we come together, we talk about it, you reassure them, you let them express their feelings. You must listen, because kids tell me all the time, nobody listens to me. And we must engage, educate, and empower our kids, because those are our future adults, and it's a very sad state everything is in right now. Those are our future American leaders. So let us, collectively put our arms around the kids, talk about it, understand how tough it is these days for them. Cut them a lot of slack, but keep an eye on them. You need to do your jobs and keep an eye. And if you see something with another child, make that parent aware, no matter how tough it is. Make that family member aware. We had that horrific, a couple of weeks ago, school shooting. This is a lot, right? So come together. Talk to your kids. Know what's going on. We'll keep an eye on TikTok. TikTok also we have studies. It's dancing. It's singing. I mean, everybody likes it. Adults too. You don't like something, you swipe, you swipe, you swipe, you swipe, you swipe. That's very addictive for kids. So we suggest, number one, talking to your kids. Open and honestly. Kids know so much these days. Put the screens down. I always talk about phones a lot, iPads a lot, because kids have that. But a teacher in the 5th grade recently, I met over the weekend, she said to me, the kids all have Apple Watches. So even if you take everything away, they're wearing a watch. They're talking to the watch. They're making phone calls on the watch, doing all kinds of internet. Take it all away. If you have to do an hour a day, but lead by example as the adult. Keep an eye on when we have to take actions, because we're heating up in Washington for the Kids Online Safety Act. It is all the way up that chain of being voted on to be passed. Be our second piece of child legislation, safety legislation. We had Take It Down Act a few months ago. Now we have Kids Online Safety Act. And it needs just to be put on the schedule by Speaker Mike Johnson. What's the holdup? What's the holdup? I want to know. You should want to know. We need to protect our kids. So while I fight and do all that work, we need you in the home, in the community to do that. But I'm going to be having to take action very shortly with our great colleagues, the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, where I'm going to ask you to sign on and all you do is put your name and your zip code, because we need to have different warriors from around the country. Be on the lookout for that. Watch me tonight on The Other Side of Midnight with host Lionel. I'm going to talk about youth mental health. Got to keep talking about it. Provide resources. 988. You should all know that. You should all have your safety tips handy. I hope you never have to use them. Understand 988, Suicide Lifeline Prevention Hotline. You can also call and just ask them questions, right? It doesn't have to be an emergency per se. You can ask them, what are some of the local resources? There are. I'll put some in the link of this video. Mental health resources available. Just ask questions. You can always write to Lynn at lynswarriors.org. Thank you for all of your donations, your volunteering, your interest in this subject matter, because there is a war on for our children. This is an American crisis. It's a global crisis. I'm focused right here, where I'm sitting in a city that should be the golden crown jewel of the United States, where we have a mayor-elect, it looks like, 33 years old, that believes, hey, it's okay to grow up, be a sex worker. That's the thinking, and that's what we have to fight. But I leave you with this good note. Last night here in New York City at the Sheen Center, our group, New Yorkers for the Equality Model, Coalition Against Trafficking in Women, Lynn's Warriors, we gathered downtown, NYU territory, and our great colleague, warrior Melanie Thompson. There was a resolution. Should paying for sex be a crime? She, of course, says yes. And this other woman, Caitlin, sex worker, pro-sex, whatever you want to call it, thinks, no, people shouldn't be arrested for paying for sex. I could sit here all day and talk about this, but our Melanie Thompson. And it was an audience of about, I want to say, 200 to 300 people at least. There was a balcony full. And you do everything on your phone. You vote in the beginning. What do you think about this? Should people be arrested for paying for sex? And at the end, you vote again. Melanie Thompson, the way we think, overwhelmingly won in New York City, NYU territory, and I couldn't be more proud. Because that tells me, and there were a lot of young people, that it's a Q&A, Oxford style, it's a moderator, it's Melanie on one side, Caitlin on the other side. And Melanie was so articulate. She had her facts, her stats, everything. And she's also a survivor leader. She has lived the life. She knows what it is. Caitlin? Well, Melanie's black, let's put it on the table, and Caitlin's white with fluffy, pretty hair. Two different dynamics completely. And Caitlin is not a survivor. Sure, she talked about some of her history, and she shared bravely, and we applaud her. But she thinks it's okay. We don't think it's okay, because we know the demand is for children, right? The younger, the better. And we're not going to have that. So this was something so positive last night. And I was proud to be there. I was proud to cheer Melanie on. And I was proud of the outcome, because we had a lot of young people in the audience who got up at the end. They'd give questions. Some of them said, I'm a sex worker. That's how I pay for my school. Or they asked very good questions. Why would you allow a loved one to get into this? Because there's inherent oppression in prostitution. And anytime you have an exchange of money, that's an imbalance right there. And that person owns you and can do what they want. But we'll leave this for another program. So honor our hashtag at The Warriors Community Creates Change. Understand, TikTok's not going anywhere. Everybody calm down. But keep your eyes on it. I'll keep you posted, because I'm so afraid I'm going to see that whole table of big tech. And I'm not liking it. We'll talk again soon. Remember, when you wake up each and every day, go out and be. I forgot one thing. I'll be on, be 1 a.m. Wednesday morning, Warrior Wednesday on WABC Radio. And I will be with host Lionel, again talking about youth mental health. Please look for that interview if you're not staying up at 1 a.m. or maybe stay up and hear it live. WABCradio.com, WABC app, Warrior Wednesday. Talk soon. Now, when you wake up each and every day, go out and be a warrior.